Is it about mortgaging the future?
Yeah, listen, I I understand his mentality
Mhm.
and okay, we don't need to mortgage the future because I don't think and I think you'd probably agree with this assessment too, is I don't think the team is there yet to add someone like Taylor Hall because Taylor Hall isn't necessarily, oh, he's the hump to get you to be a Stanley Cup contender. He'll take you to the like if you put him on a team like Colorado, they win the cup no problem.
No, exactly.
Whereas you put Hall on the Canadians, how far does he take you?
I mean, does he help? Does he give you a better chance to get in? Get in, yes, but I mean,
Yes.
Montreal have more pressing concerns, in my opinion.
Right. So it doesn't I don't think bringing I don't think bringing in Taylor Hall is the right move. I think there's
No,
other if you want to bring in a forward, there are other forwards I can think of off the top of my head that you might want to bring
you
in
mentioned Chris
Tyler
Kreider and
Toffoli.
hanging up.
I was going to say Tyler Toffoli, but you said him.
It's just no.
I'm I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm thinking of someone like Tyler Toffoli, or if he wants. Now he's right-handed, but he can play on the left side. And someone like Sammy Vatanen, who's a UFA at the end of the year, and I'd argue that he could help you in the playoffs.
Yeah. See, the thing is, Alex, is I made the joke about mortgaging the future because it's always been a staple with Marc Bergevin. When Duchesne first got traded, there was a thing that the Habs were going to give up, like Nikita Sherbak or Nora Jolson, both players that really haven't really worked out. But that was when the Habs were, good and were expected to make the playoffs. That's before Tampa and Toronto took off, right? And back then, I didn't give a crap about the future. It was a win now time, right? But now that Montreal in this different position, I agree. Taylor Hall was not the right move. If you go and sign me free agency, then I'll be like, yeah, don't give anything up. Sure, fantastic. I like what you say about Vatanen because the Habs also have an extra second round pick, a bunch of fourths, all that, right? So they could still make the deal. And a puck moving defenseman who can help the power play. I mean, you know me. I would love Sammy Vatanen. But to the whole deal of mortgaging the future, it's an unpopular opinion in Montreal right now, but I completely agree with him. I maybe I'm just being conservative. You know me, I'm not pro
No,
Bergevin, but I don't think Montreal are in a position right now to trade anyone. Like leave it
right.
alone.
Right. I don't think, and when I heard it, and it seemed I had to listen to him speak myself. From what I was reading, it just seemed like everyone was kind of throwing him under the bus. And listen, I don't agree with every move that Bergevin has made. Um, I think mortgaging the future on a player as big as Taylor Hall is not where the team is currently at.
Mhm.
If we're talking 2 years down the line, maybe even next year, depending on players you bring in through free agency and how your young players develop, then that's a completely different story. But right now, the team is looking for someone who can help them bump them into the playoffs. And sure, Taylor Hall does that, but that's going to take a lot. I
See,
mean, it might not based on the deal that they got.
that's
But
the worst part is when like you look at what the Devils gave up and you're like, really? But then I think it's why the Oilers didn't get him is Bergevin doesn't want to give up his first round pick, which I completely agree with. I don't think he's ever done it honestly, and I'm very okay with that. And another thing for the press conference, I just want to get it out the way now. Bergevin's confident that Alex Romanov will be a Hab next year, which is really awesome. But yeah, going back to the future and all that.
and I think that's the biggest part for you. At the end of the day, your team is set. The team is set up.
Yes.
The team isn't necessarily set up for now. The team is set up for the future. And I think this is where a lot of people's mentality, based on what you're describing, a lot of people's mentality are at right now is that you have Shea Weber and Carey Price on long-term deals who are older.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to see them win now because those guys are in win now mode. And that's why people say bring in Taylor Hall, because sure, with the right string of luck, with Taylor Hall, the Canadiens could win the cup. But the chances of that happening, sorry to tell you, but the chances of that happening were low.
Yeah, exactly.
So to sit here and say you need to trade a A-level prospect to get this guy and a B-level prospect and a pick, whatever, Bergevin should be looking at, sure, you want to bring in a rental, which I know he generally doesn't like to do.
Nope.
You want to make a hockey trade? Go ahead. There's players out there you can get. But you need to do it now. I'm not necessarily saying trade your first round pick and these prospects, but do something.
You know what I do appreciate about Bergevin is he's obviously, if they don't make the playoffs this year, there's a serious chance he could get fired. Because I didn't realize this. He's been GM for 8 years. It's felt like a long time. But what I appreciate is, even with, it's very clear his job's on the line, he's putting the team first, which there are other GMs which would not do that. Now, of course, if we're past trade deadline and there isn't any sort of move, then we have a problem. But we'll see. Again, yeah, Bergevin doesn't normally do it, but I think for once we say it every year, he has the cap space, he has the assets, but I think he's not going to do anything stupid, but I think I'd be surprised if Bergevin doesn't do anything at all. But again, it's Bergevin. You have to expect the unexpected. I mean, you can't really...
Right, for sure.
And we won't hear about it because it's weird. Montreal, Toronto, a few others you don't get a lot out of. So
the Islanders, you don't hear anything.
Mob boss Lou running it.